What is good, guys? It's Ray J back with another video, and this I wanted to break down what's happening with Tesla SPY and a couple of other tickers. I'm going to break down what's going on with the economic calendar moving forward and some very important factors involving Tesla, as we're seeing some new insights coming up from analysts, which are very, very important, at least for Tesla, in my personal opinion. But before I break into all this information, before I get into any more details, let me just mention a couple of things. I'm personally not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out the Weeble link, which is down below and in the description. If you sign up for Weeble and deposit $500, you guarantee 20 free stocks, and the offer ends very soon in just about 2 days. Anyways, for Tesla, we saw this thing dip a bit all the way down to the 180 area, only to get bought back up. And we're back within this range between 183 and 185. So we're seeing a very, very nice looking test on Tesla, and we want to be watching to see how well it holds up. Tesla is actually showing some life compared to the market right now. The market is actually dipping a little bit more than Tesla, whereas Tesla is getting a bit more bought back up. But the question is, how will things progress from here? What is my personal opinion? First, guys, just know that when it comes to our economic calendar at 11:30 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, that's about 35 minutes from the time I'm recording this video, we have about a couple of bill auctions coming out. We have the 17-week, the 4-week, the 8-week bill auctions all coming out, which might cause some volatility for the market. So I'll be watching for that. As far as Tesla goes, we had some big news that came out. There's RBC Capital analyst out there, Tom Narayan, has lowered his price target for Tesla. However, he still has a bullish target. He had a target of $293. He lowered it to about $227. However, one thing that's worth noting is that he still has a bullish target overall. Even though he did lower his targets to 227, that is still significantly higher than where Tesla is right now. So he's still bullish overall, but he's not as bullish as before because of some concerns involving the robotaxi project. He mentioned that once again, there are going to be different factors he's going to kind of consider, such as the fact that there's going to be lower pricing in the rideshare industry by the time the robotaxi launches. And he also mentioned that the project's higher revenue share percentage for rideshare programs would be potentially diminishing the robotaxi's valuation. So that's something else that's worth noting. He still believes that's going to be a big contributor for the value of Tesla, but he thinks that there's going to be a lot of hurdles, not to mention in cities, and he thinks that they have to really like re-engineer themselves. So that's something else that's worth noting. I think he has a very, very interesting opinion. It is very important that we kind of like listen to all kinds of opinions, at least about Tesla, and he has some good points about the robotaxi. I want to note that for his targets, with him being bullish, I don't think that this is more of a long-term target. It's just like more short-term. His long-term would still be very bullish under the assumption that the robotaxi is released and things do end up going according to plan. It's still going to be very bullish for Tesla nonetheless, and that is still very, very great news. There's been a lot of news coming out about the Model 3, Model Y, and other model battery degradation time after 200,000 miles. And what these researchers have found is that the degradation for the Tesla Model Y and Model 3 after 200,000 miles is about 15%. So it maintains a retention of about 85% of the capacity relative to before when it's new. So it's actually not too bad after 200,000 miles. And for other models like the Model 3 and the Model Y, long range, they basically have about a 12% capacity loss after 200,000 miles, which is not bad whatsoever. So that's something worth noting. I'm seeing a lot of headlines about that. Anyways, going back to Tesla in the market, what do I see for us moving forward? Tesla dipped all the way down to the support around the 180 area, and then we saw Tesla get bought back up. Excuse me, pushing back up to the 50 EMA around 183.7. If that breaks, we'll be looking at 184.5 to about 185. That's the next big range for Tesla. But the question is, can Tesla get bought back up above 185, or are we going to end up coming short? There's going to be a very, very big test coming. We have support currently at 183, and we have resistance at 185. Tesla's going to likely stay within this range for some time, but we'll have to watch and see, can we get back above 185? I'm seeing some buyers defending Tesla, and Tesla is on a bit of an uptrend, at least for now, on the shorter term time frame. If we look at the last few weeks for Tesla, we've been slowly uptrending, so it's showing some life. If we get a big bounce and we break past 188, we could continue to climb a lot higher. But for now, we're just focusing on the next major resistance, which is 185. Can Tesla break this and start pushing higher? I'll be watching this very, very carefully. All right, for SPY had a nice little gap up to the 550 area, only to reject, and we came down close to our 20 EMA around 548.5. Now, since we hit that, we were kind of rebounding a bit back down to the 549 area, but we're still in, once again, not the best of places. We're still kind of stuck within this range, kind of going back and forth and back and forth. So we'll just be waiting to see how things end up going. If we lose 548.5, we'll be dipping all the way down towards 547. And if we end up breaking past 550.5, we'll be looking for more bullish price action. As of right now, SPY is range bound, but I'm seeing some weakness here because we could be forming like a temporary peak before we end up coming back down. So I'll be watching this carefully just to see if we end up getting a little dip. But I just want to note that this is the range on SPY. We're showing a little bit of weakness right here, because we do have potential to dip lower. But I'll be watching that very carefully. For Nvda has resistance at this 140 area, and we have support all the way down here around 138. We came down to potentially fill this gap only to get bought back up, but just know that as far as Nvidia goes, there is going to be a risk of it dipping lower looking at the 1 hour time frame. We could retest 138 and then just continue to shuffle from there, so watch that very carefully. For Bitcoin, Bitcoin is showing some weakness right over here. We actually lost our 50 EMA. I'm going to be looking at support all the way down to about 64,600, and we have resistance at about 65,000. So there is a risk of us dipping a little bit lower, so I'll be watching this very carefully just to see how things end up going. But that's going to be key for how things end up developing, at least moving forward. For the QQQ is also showing a little bit of weakness. We have 488 as resistance, also 486, and we have support at 485. We kind of gapped up and we're kind of slowing down. And this could actually kind of dip down to 485 as well, a little bit lower. So I'm seeing some weakness on the triple Q right here. With this wick that formed here, we're going to be looking for a little rebound first before it continues lower. But the trend is starting to shift a bit, so I'll be watching to see how this ends up holding. If we break past 488, we're back to bullish. If we fail to do so and we continue to fall, watch 484 as key support. That's the really critical support. If that breaks, then yes, we could be dipping lower. And I still see a risk of that because of Aapl. Apple's been selling off quite a bit. We lost 212.5 exactly as predicted, hitting the 210 target. If Apple continues to fall, this would be bearish, and this could also drag things down lower, and there's a risk of that happening. Supermicro has actually broken past 975. We're actually approaching the 1,000 resistance, but just be careful as we go up to these high levels. 1,000 is going to be very, very critical. There was a time when Supermicro went all the way up to about 1020 before getting a rejection. So I'll be watching 1000 as resistance and then 1020. And we'll be watching to see if we end up kind of breaking down at any of these levels. So watch that very carefully. We'll see how things go, at least for Supermicro. And we're going to be very patient in the process, at least for now. For a few more, we also have the IWM Russell 2000. The Russell 2000 has resistance at the hourly 200 EMA around 201.75. It was supported at 200.74. I was expecting this to rebound it, but that's what's happening so far. But watch and see if we break past this resistance or not. If we don't break 202, we could be rejecting and going back down to the very low 200s. If we break above that, I'll be looking for 202. For Coinbase is also looking a little bit weak right now. We did anticipate some downside. That's what's playing out. Amazon showing some strength. We got back above 184. So I'm going to be looking for a test of about 187.5 soon. So I'm seeing some life on Amazon. For Meta is looking a little bit weak right now. We're just shuffling right now between 500 and 505, and I think we're just going to remain range bound for now. There's not really a whole lot else going on. For Google is also just kind of shuffling for the time being. But just note, guys, that we have a possible head and shoulders. If we end up losing 170, the 175s, we're going to be looking for a big dip down to 172. If we break past 180, we'll be looking for a push. My gut tells me it might dip back down towards 176, and then we'll see what happens from there. For GameStop is kind of trading sideways right here. On the 1 hour time frame, we'll be looking at where our 50 EMA happens to be. We have 25.69 as resistance. We also have support at 23. I think we might just continue to trade sideways, but GameStop is building some momentum. It could be pushing higher later on to 28 plus. AMC may even try to bounce, but we're just kind of trading sideways for now. So I'll be waiting to see a big move. But that's all I'm waiting for, at least for the time being. With that being said, guys, thank you all so much for listening. That is it for your very, very quick intraday update. And just know that Tesla is range bound right now. We're between 183 and 185. Give it some time and we'll see how Tesla does. Can we reclaim 185 to turn back up? We will wait and see. Otherwise, we're just kind of range bound for now, so we'll give it the time it needs. Okay, so that's the big test on Tesla. Thank you all for listening. And I'll see you guys very soon on the next one in just a few hours. Thanks again, guys, and peace out.